Making a business decision requires you to use logic, and logic here goes into several elements. Element number one is how much money are you spending to buy an asset. Element number two is how much will it cost you to keep the asset on the road. And element number three is it serving the purpose that you want to buy the asset. So the car I'm about to review today has been made possible by demand by a gentleman called James. He runs by the name James Impact TV across all social media platforms, and he's been on our neck as conversation to make sure we deliver this review of this particular car. But before I tell you about this particular car, let me give you a side chat for a second. The car that people have been abusing for a while now is the Toyota Probox. So succeed if you want to go that particular direction. And this car has been serving Kenyans on two particular fronts. Number one, you can use it as a personal car, and number two, you can also use it as a commercial car, until Toyota decided that they want to move from automatic to CVT. And this prompted Kenyans to try and look elsewhere. And the car that immediately came into their play was another Toyota, and this Toyota was the Toyota Town S, which proved to be a lemon because it gave Kenyans a lot of character development. But while all this was happening, there was another car that being Kenyans were not looking at, and this car is the one that I'm about to show you today. And the car I'm talking about today is the 2017 NISSAN NV200 Vanette. Remember, if you don't have the NV200 and you just call the word Vanette, that will refer to the previous generation, which was a rebadged Mazda Bongo. But this particular one, it still has the name Vanette, but you still use it with the NV200. You can get it in a passenger configuration, like this particular one that is standing next to me, or you can get it in a cargo configuration, which is all covered up except the front passenger and driver seat. And this review has been made possible by KDG Imports, again along Gong Road opposite Prestige. You'll find a lot of cars in their stock, but something special about KDG Imports is they have all their cars listed on CARSURE.Africa. And when I talk about all their cars, the NV200 is part of those cars that you'll get on CARSURE.Africa. And something interesting about CARSURE.Africa that maybe you guys don't know is all the cars that are on CARSURE.Africa marketplace, the price has been set by the dealer himself. So we are not controlling the price at any moment. We are not marking up. And the only thing we are assuring you is if you want to buy any of those cars, you are served with a quality, comprehensive mechanical report from our engineers. So log on to CARSURE.Africa and buy yourself a proper mechanical inspection report for this particular car. And remember, this car is on a deal. So KDG are selling this car for only 1.3 million Kenya shillings. Now ukienda kwa www.CARSURE.Africa, you'll get the same price. And if you buy this mechanical report of this NV200 from CARSURE.Africa, you're only assuring yourself of peace of mind. You know what you're buying, so the moment you get there, you are safe and secure. So let's get into the review of the 2017 NISSAN NV200. I'm your host, Papa's Coffee himself, Ibrahim Toloi. You can follow conversations across all the entire platforms, and if that is not enough and you feel you can stretch a little bit, you can also follow me on my all platforms across different platforms: X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. And there we can also do some few dances there. Amani Achana dance. We just do reviews, car content, fine, perfect. I'll keep it professional and just give you and serve you with awesome car content. I said we are making a logical decision. When it comes to logic, things like beauty are not things you pay attention to, because I don't remember if you're delivering cargo with this van, the client will go like, oh, your car looks ugly. I think what matters to the clients is that you've delivered, and that's what the NV200 will do. So the front fascia is quite simple. You have your plastic bumper. Just make sure if you're scratching this car, you're not worried, because this one, hata ikiwa na scratch unasugua, unapiga black primer, unapiga rangi ya black juu yake, and you're good. Your Nissan logo. These lights are quite good. By the way, I drove this car yesterday night and I had a quite good visibility, both on dim and high. So perfect. There's nothing much to talk about how this car looks. It's a typical Nissan. You look at it coming from the front, It's just there, but it makes the work done. I will rate the competition among the three, that is the Townes, the Probox, and this one. I think the Probox will say is the one that looks a bit more attractive. This one will come second. The Townes is the ugliest, so that one will come last. But let's talk about what exactly this car packs up at the engine and the transmission, and see how does it actually edge all the competition out of their game, and why you should make a perfect choice to actually buy this car, because it will make sure that you get the value preposition that you're looking for. What you find under the hood of the NISSAN NV200 is what makes this car special, because unlike many cars, you have some few things that are going on in this engine compartment that are what we refer to as traditional. And talking about tradition, let's talk about the transmission. So everybody is running away from the CVT, and let me be honest, I have nothing personal against the CVT. CVTs are very good transmission, especially when it comes to fuel economy or fuel efficiency. But where the CVT loses is when it comes to hauling or pushing heavy loads, and that's where the NV200 shines, because what you get here is a 4-speed automatic transmission, which with quite long gear ratios, which when you're driving this car you'll experience it, but again, that's not a big problem. The quality of the transmission provides you with an opportunity to, one, this car has the ability to haul unbraked 640 kgs. That means you can trail this car, you can ongeza ka trailer pale nyuma, and on top of carrying cargo or hauling cargo inside the van, you can also pull 650 kgs of weight. Number two, if you break it now, it goes to 1.1 tons. And the only way you can be able to pull those kind of loads is if you have a proper transmission. And so the 4-speed automatic on this particular car is quite beautiful. Let's talk about the engine. So what you get here, this particular NV200 is a 1600 HR16DE engine from Nissan. Again, this engine has been co-developed by Renault. Nissan are having this relationship and partnership with Renault, where they're doing a lot of things together. So that's what you get here, and the fuel economy numbers and the reliability on this engine is top notch. You literally have no problem. But something special about this engine that I'll tell you, that I want you to know, is it has 2 fuel injectors for every cylinder, and that goes ahead to give you proper fuel efficiency when you're driving this particular car. It's chain driven, and they say occasionally, after around 100,000 kilometers, you're supposed to do valve clearance. That means, you have to set your valves back to the correct level. That's one thing that you need to know about this particular engine. But it's an engine that will last you forever. Nobody has a problem with this particular engine. What other engine options will you get when you buy this particular car? You can get this car in a 1500cc engine, and you can also get in a 2-liter, the MR20DE. That's also another option that you can get on this particular lineup. The 1500 is your HR15, so HR family of engines. Again, same similarity in terms of quality and reliability to this particular engine in this particular car. And if you're buying this car from the UK market, you can also get it with a K9K diesel plant, and that again, it's courtesy of a partnership between Nissan and Renault. That will give you power, torque, and fuel economy. Let's talk about the power figures you get on this particular line. So this one will give you around 103 HP and around 113 Newton meters of torque. It's not much, it's not what you'll expect as screaming numbers, but trust me, those numbers will haul any cargo or anything that you're carrying in this particular car from point A to point Z reliably and deliver it without a problem. I know the Toyota gang, the guys who are driving the Toyota Proboxes, are there asking Ibrahim, what are the common problems? Because tumeambiwa, tumeuziwa uoga, Nissan tu, blah blah, nini, hizo mambo yote. Hiyo ni siasa bwana. Tunaenda na hiyo maneno. So, the mentality in Kenya has been like Toyota is the most reliable setup. That means the engines you get on the Probox, the 1 and Z, is the... Take me for my word. I have no problem against Toyota's reliability. It's perfect. But it doesn't mean that any other car is not reliable. So this engine is particularly quite reliable. You'll never kill this engine. So there are no problems that I'll tell you that this engine comes with. Buy this car, drive it, use it for any purpose you want. It will serve you quite perfectly, just the same way the Probox will do. But one thing that this will do more than the Probox, it will give you better driving dynamics, give you the reliability of a 4-speed automatic. Singangane na CVT is a Probox. When it comes to the side profile of the Nissan NV200, again, as I said from the beginning of this review, we are not logically thinking about how it looks, but we can say it has a decent appearance. Remember, as I said before, you can get this car in two configurations. You can get the cargo version, which will not have this and this one, itakuwa imefunikwa yote na mabati, or you can get it in this particular configuration, which is the passenger configuration, which can allow you to do two things. One, you can be able to carry your passengers hapa ndani, and two, you can also be able to haul your cargo hapo ndani. So let's talk about a few things that I like about this particular car in terms of how it looks on the side profile. Number one is the side mirror. The side mirror is quite big. When you're driving this car from inside, it gives you an ample view to just check your surrounding and make sure you navigate this particular car quite perfectly. Number two, look at what we have here. So these are size 14 Toyos, and they come with an aftermarket alloy, and this is courtesy of course KDG Imports. They spec this car out so you can get this on alloy, but kuna zingine zinakuja na rim ya mabati, so make sure you get yourself a one that has been spec'd quite well. That's perfect, and you get that front and the rear as well. You have disc at the front and drum at the rear. In my experience while driving this particular car, I found the brake quite sensitive, and I didn't believe you have actually drum at the rear. So you have drum na disc mbele. Let's talk about the suspension setup. On this particular car, at the front you get your McPherson strut, and at the rear this particular one comes with leaf suspension. But that leaf suspension si peke yake, you also get the opportunity to couple it up together with a gas damper. Just help and make sure that you're comfort while you're driving this car, or you're hauling passengers or cargo for that matter, how pia wanna enjoy the ride quality. So before I show you the rear and how practical this car is, I'll confirm to you that Nissan have made it possible to have two access, in fact three. So you have two side sliding doors on the side of this car. This is one, the other one on the other side. And number two, apart from the sliding doors, you can also open the back of this car and lift up the tailgate. I'm about to show you how practical this car is at the rear, but one thing I'll tell you, that this one, when you open, you can see it has a second row of seats. So you can either delete it kama unataka, ama unaweza amua uache ibaki hivyo. But normally, if you have the passenger version of this, it's always good to keep this one. So it means you can haul your cargo and at the same time have extra people. I know Kenyans being Kenyans, when they buy this particular car, because they know it has a leaf spring at the rear, they want to carry excess cargo. You know, Kenyans are very peculiar people. So you have the provision of kuongeza extra leaf springs. I know with the leaf springs, that's the advantage. Unaweza eka moja, unaweza ongeza mbili, unaweza ongeza tatu, and that will give you the power to haul a bit heavier cargo in this particular car, which I wouldn't recommend, because you know, I would rather go with the manufacturer spec. If they say you haul this amount of kgs, stick to that. It makes this car more reliable. It makes this car serve you for a very long time. But let's talk about why you need to buy this car and why this car will shine across the board, and it will take down the competition any day, anytime, and that boils down to practicality. So again, simple. You have your Nissan logo there. You have your NV200 Vanette. That's the badge. The tail lights or the rear lights are there. Basic, simple. I think when people are creating practical cars and are supposed to do practical things, they don't really care about the aesthetics or how this thing looks. So it's just a flat car that has functional things. But let's talk about practicality. So away from accessing this car on the sides, that means you can slide the doors on both ends. You can also access this car from the rear with this high lift. See how high it is? That's quite interesting. Look at that. So it gives you an ample time to load your cargo. And something else that is interesting, if you've watched the review of the Spada, the Honda Spada, one unique special thing about the Spada is it has a very low floor. And that is the same thing you get with this particular car. Look at how low that is. So it means, again, your work of loading cargo in and out is quite easy and convenient. Let me jump into it. Let's look at that. I'm 6'2". Let me remind you, look how practical this car is. This is how tall your cargo can be. Quite ample space. And you remember there's this seat that is here, and I told you, you can haul extra people and just use this room to carry your cargo. If you're done with that, you can delete this particular seat. Let me try deleting it. I don't know if I can fold it from this end. Let me try. It's here. So you can fold it like that. So you can fold this seat like that. And something else, you can actually remove this seat entirely. Just have it out of this car to give you enough space to load as much cargo as you can. And if Fab can zoom in properly, you will notice one thing. Look at this seat. It has a different color code hapa nyuma. If you look at the driver one, it also has a different color code. And the reason is you can actually fold that flat out at the front to allow you carry extra or long luggages. But the driver one will just stay the way it is. You can only recline it kidogo and mbele, but it cannot go flat down, which is quite interesting for Nissan to do this. Overall, this car is quite practical. I wouldn't take the Probox or the Succeed over this any day in time, considering you can only buy this car at 1.3 million Kenya shillings. Come on, that's pretty good value for money. I'd rather have this because it serves me. It makes everything happen the way I would want as a business owner. So let's talk about what this car has at the front. Let's see the quirks and features. Does it have any fancy stuff, and how does it compare to the competition? The NV200 is a semi-truck, so meaning the sitting position will be a bit high. It'll give you that commanding position, and that's what you get when you plunge yourself into these seats. But one thing that I like and I don't like is this fact. So one, I can actually do this on my driver's seat, but this guy, nah, he cannot. These seats are static, so you cannot move them mbele ama nyuma. So if you're carrying a passenger here who is tall, they'll have to work with it the way it is. But one thing they can do is they can recline. At least that one they are given. Again, this car is designed towards being a commercial car, so they didn't pay attention to much of that. It has very good plastic. This is plastic that will last you forever. Let's look at it. Quite good. Something else that I know, and this one will fight over it, but I will agree and concede to it, is the Probox has a better setup here. And just better setup in terms of practicality. For instance, when you talk about practicality, you only get this storage compartment. You get one here. Okay, at least you get 2 airbags for safety. You get one storage compartment here, and that is all. There is no table like you'll get in the Probox. You have 2 cup holders. These are bolt hole holders, one there, one the other side. Then you have a finicky one that you can plunge out and hold in your hand, and then you can just fit it here again. So I don't know whether this is for driver and a passenger ama ni ya watu wa nyuma. I'm not sure. But that's what you get here. Then you have an empty storage area again here. You can store your phones, blah, blah, blah. Then you can lean there. You have your 12-volt socket if you want to charge your phone or have that Bluetooth connectivity. Yeah, and that's all. Nothing much to talk about. Niko hapa na speedometer peke yake, no tachometer, no nothing. And you have your analog display on your right and a digital display on your left to show your check engine lights and all that. Away from that, nothing much. Everything is a button. Everything works like it should. Fan ya kuzungusha. These are things that will last you forever. You'll never break this car down any day, anytime. Look at that practicality. Whether you're 6'8", this car has been made possible to be driven by anybody. Short and tall, uko sawa. The steering, you can adjust it and tilt it up and down, but you cannot pull it towards you or take it back far away from you. So that's one thing you get when you're buying this particular car. Something that I like, which is a cheat, is you can actually adjust the level of your headlights. You have a button here, so you can tilt your headlights chini and tilt them up. Again, do it electronically. And that's all you get in this particular car. There's nothing that you're planning to maybe describe or tell you. But something I'll tell you as a wind-up is the visibility in this car is just out of this world. It's quite big. The windows are quite big. Look at that. Hapa mbele, it's quite easy. You can literally see everywhere you're driving. And it makes this car perfect for a choice, especially for your commercial purposes. So let's drive this car and see how does it actually perform on the road. Does it drive as good as the Probox? Because I know the Probox will only beat this car in 2 places. Place number 1, kusimamishwa na polisi. Kwa sababu ukiwa na Probox, it's like you've made a rule with the police. Masanje, you and police officers, you'll always be friends. So just walk around with some few things to, you know, the Kenyan way of doing things. It's a bad way of talking about it, but again, if you own a Probox, hiyo ni kawaida. Number 2, the other place where the Probox will literally be this car is the interior comfort features. I think you can get a table on the Probox. You can get a bit more storage compartments in the Probox. And something else you can get also on the Probox that you won't get in this car is the ability of the Probox maybe to run faster on the road, especially when you're being chased. It weighs around 500 kgs. This weighs 600 kg, so it's slightly heavier than the Probox. And when you load this car, it cannot run as fast as the Probox. So hapo ndo mahali Probox inashindia hii gari. Tauness, We are not even discussing it. That one cannot run, neither can it carry, neither can it give you peace of mind. This will be the ultimate car. So let's go out on the road, let's drive this car and just feel how good does it drive, and does it give you a better experience in comparison to the competition. Immediately you take the driver's seat on the NV200, one thing becomes obvious. This is a semi-truck. I'm sitting quite high in that position and the visibility is quite beautiful and awesome. You can see everywhere. Literally I can see everything around me. Quite good. But one thing I like more, I was trying to drive this car around the place I stay, and I couldn't help notice the big side mirrors. They come as a lorry, so it guides you pretty well when you're reversing and you're just maneuvering your way around tight spaces. Quite easy, quite convenient as well. But let's talk about how exactly it feels to drive the NV200. I know the competition here is a Pro Box. So one, that's a big difference. When you sit in the Pro Box, you won't feel like you're driving a truck. A Pro Box has more incentives towards, a normal car driving experience. But this one is a semi-truck. Immediately you sit into it, you know it's a different car. So, but how does it drive any different from the Pro Box? One thing you need to know as a big difference is this car comes with a 4-speed automatic, and the Pro Box comes with your CVT or the newer Pro Boxes. I would still love to compare these with the older ones, but unfortunately it's a 2017 unit, so we are comparing it with the 2017 units. So where we're gonna CVT, this one has a 4-speed auto with very long gear ratios, meaning it takes you a bit before it switches from gear 1 to gear 2. If you put your feet down, hear that? That's just one gear. I didn't even get to change. So very long gear ratios, which makes driving this car a bit interesting. Right now I'm carrying nothing, it's light, and I'll tell you for a fact, without carrying anything, this car is pretty solid in terms of giving your Pro Box a run for their money on the road. But where the Pro Box wins is when it comes to the road agility. Of course, Pro Box will get ahead of this in one or the other. One, it carries lighter cargo. Two, it's smaller, better aerodynamic. Three, it's also lighter itself, so it has an advantage over this. But if you're a commercial guy, if you're a business guy, if you're a guy hauling things around, luggage, nini, these will carry more, these will hold more. It might not go as fast as the Pro Box, but it will get the job done. And something else, this one, again, being a Nissan, I think the big question is, what engine does it pack up? A very pretty solid engine as well. Drives quite well. In terms of fuel economy, you're getting pretty good figures. When you're loaded, fully loaded on this car, you can average 11-12 kilometers to a liter. But when I'm light like right now, I can even do 13, 15, all the way to 16 kilometers to a liter, because this car feels pretty solid. And something uniquely special about this, even though it's a tall car, and of course it will have a lot of body roll in comparison to the Pro Box. I'm not discussing the Taunus here, because that one is tears galore. Of course, it's not a sports car, it's not a car you want to race around, but the suspension feel is quite beautiful. The leaf springs at the rear, coupled up with gas dampers, Nambele tuko na McPherson struts, quite good, handles quite good, and I know when it's loaded, it will be very solid on the road. Drives cool, very good. I love this car. I didn't imagine I would love a Nissan this much, but it makes the work done. For a person who wants a budget car that will do everything you need, this is the perfect car. I'm not going to do 0 to 100, but I'm just going to stop and try to just see how much does this car get up to speed. You won't do, it's not a sports car, so I don't feel the need to do a 0 to 100 acceleration. But just to remind you, I have just a speedometer, I have no tachometer, I have an analog display on the right where it can show you fuel economy, your kilometers. Right now this car, it's 146,448, which is pretty solid for this car. Upper, it's very basic, nothing much. 2 airbags, cup holder zangu ziko hapa, cup holder ingine iko pale. There are no center, there's nothing here at the center. So I just want to see how does it actually pick up to speed, and see how much time does it take to get to 100. So you'll help me count. This time you're going to do the cam 0 to 100 together as a team. So I'm going to brake boost, and then we are going. Are you guys ready? I'll start counting. 1, 2, 3. The launch is decent. 60 and 80 and 100. How many seconds? Patie comments hapo. Give me the comments. So that's all you get. But again, it's not a car you want to race with. It's not a car you're driving like a maniac. This is a practical car that gets your job done. So let's talk about value for money and see how much will this car set you back in comparison to all the competition. Here I'm talking about the Town S, I'm talking about the Probox. Does it give you value for money, and does it come in handy when it comes to people who are looking for a commercial car, a howler car that can deliver everything you need and do it reliably with better fuel economy? Again, when you're buying a commercial car, you're using logic to buy a car. You're not using fancy stuff. So throw away those things like it looks ugly, it looks blah blah blah. Let's talk about value for money and see how does it compare to its competition. Let's talk about value for money. So how much will the NV200 set you back? And before I tell you the price of the NV200, I would like also to share the competition. So if you decide to buy the Toyota Town S, which has, let's call it a lemon, which has a lot of problems, from the engine overheating, it's one of the most problematic cargo hauling car right now we have in the Kenyan market. I wouldn't want even anybody to touch it. But if you have a head that can handle that, you're free. You can as well go and buy it. The Town S will set you back around 1.3 million Kenyan shillings. If you're buying the Probox again, it will give you a range between 1.25 all the way to 1.35 million Kenyan shillings, depending whether you're buying the Probox or you're buying the Succeed, again down to the quality and all that. Now this particular car, the NV200, will set you back at KDG Imports. If you buy this car on www.carsure.africa, if you go there, the listing price on this car is actually 1.35 million Kenya shillings. But I know if you call IBRAH KDG, ama uende huko utakutana na IBRAH KDG, hawezi kosa commission further. But this car is on a deal. It means it's on an offer at KDG Imports. So the 1350 price is quite good on this particular car. So that's what you get. For everything I've told you about this car, the value proposition is out of your pocket. You are committing 1.35 million Kenya shillings on this particular car. To me, that is a serious value for money. It can haul more than the Probox can. It has reliability as an item. That means on the engine and the gearbox as well. It is more accommodative in terms of space. It can haul and pull or tow more luggage, something the Probox cannot do, for those guys who love the Probox. So this car makes a lot of value proposition. I've been your host, Papa Scoff himself, Ibrahim Toloyo, on this exciting episode of Conversation. Before you go, let me remind you again, decisions, secure decisions, are made on CARSURE.Africa. If you go in a place and you want to book a pre-purchase inspection, Cousin Raisi, everything has been automated at the moment. Just log on to CARSURE.Africa and book your pre-purchase inspection. If you want a consultation, don't even give us a call. Just log on to CARSURE.Africa and book a consultation. Everything is automated. Everything works smoothly. And remember, all the cars listed on CARSURE.Africa are not inflated in terms of price. The dealer is the one who dictates the price. The only concern that we have is make sure that you buy a quality car. And that's why you're providing a report for every car that is on CARSURE.Africa. Like this one, it has a mechanical report. Just log on to CARSURE.Africa and buy yourself a report and make a sober decision when you're buying any car. Bye-bye, and see you on Sunday for an exciting episode of Conversation Kanisa, because we have one beautiful car coming on.